What is good, YouTube, and welcome back to a brand new video. Today we are back here on NBA 2K25 here for another realistic rebuild, and today we got to do a team that's struggling. Of course, that is the Utah Jazz. The Jazz are off to a rocky start to start the season, so let's just go ahead and jump in and do a realistic rebuild of the Utah Jazz. Before we get into today's video, make sure you guys drop a like on this one and subscribe if you're new to this channel. As always, greatly appreciated. While I say the Jazz are off to a rocky start, I don't know if anyone expected them to be I don't know, like a contender this year or anything, but they do have Lauri Markkanen, who is 27. They have John Collins. So they do have some solid players that could get them some wins where they could probably be hovering around 500 or whatever. But so far, that has not been the case. So we're going to jump in and see what we can do to fix that. So, of course, like I said, Lauri Markkanen is the player here who is, somewhat interesting because they did extend him. There was a bunch of trade rumors on him. They didn't end up doing anything with that. They extend him instead. You do wonder if the Jazz continue to struggle, if those trade rumors will pop back up. We could trade him at the deadline if we feel it is necessary to do so. But I think for this first season, we're just going to play out the first season and kind of see how this team finishes out, and then maybe we can explore the idea of trading him in the offseason or just keeping him around depending on who we draft, I guess. So without further ado, for season number 1, we're just going to go ahead and submit the rest of the season. Actually, there might be a reason to stop the trade deadline and trade Jordan Clarkson. I do feel like he could be maybe a necessary asset for somebody, going on a playoff run or whatever. So maybe we'll look into that. Other than that, if I don't do that, I'll see you guys at the end of year number 1. Today's video is brought to you by Daily Grind Fantasy's Optimizer. If you play on apps such as Prize Picks, Underdog, or any of these popular DFS apps, having a tool like this is incredibly clutch to finding good plays right in front of you without having to do zero research whatsoever. As you can see, we have the Prize Picks portion pulled up right now. And we do have some value popped up on Prize Picks. I'm recording this early in the morning. We got Brandon Ingram under 5.5 rebounds. It is heavily juiced for him to go under 5.5. You got Pinnacle at -136, FanDuel at -136. And you can plug this in on Prize Picks on a 5-pick or 6-pick flex slip for at an average odds of -119. So you're getting good value there. As long as you're beating closing line value, you will be a profitable sports bettor, which is why we absolutely love taking plays like this. And then these plays don't last long. Prize Picks bumps them because they know they're profitable. So if you want to check out Daily Grind Fantasy, like I said, they have Underdog as well. They have Better, Dabble, all kinds of options. You got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander over 41.5 PRA. You got some books listed as a 42.5, and FanDuel's at 43.5. So yeah, great value on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. So make sure to check out Daily Grind Fantasy down in the comment section below. Use code Crushables. You get a percentage off your first month. I believe it's 25%. Absolutely incredible. Absolutely love Daily Grind Fantasy. Also, Dabble is one of my favorite apps too that I love playing on. We hit a nice 6x yesterday on it. So make sure to check out, like I said, Daily Grind Fantasy on that. Let's get back to the video. So at the end of year number 1, Luka Doncic wins MVP. Ricochet's Rookie of the Year in Atlanta. You got Amon Thompson going to 6th man. Wembanyama Defensive Player, and Amon Thompson Most Improved. Jaylen Brown Clutch Player, and Chris Finch is your Coach of the Year. I don't know about you guys, but I just want to go ahead and quickly say my early candidate for Most Improved is Dyson Daniels, and then Rookie of the Year looks like it might be Jared McCain if things continue the way they're going right now. But here's your NBA first team: Luka, Jokic. Obviously, we're not going to have anybody on these, unfortunately. We had a pretty horrendous season. I did see an all-defensive team, which I just happened to skip over because I did not expect to see that. So I'm assuming that might have been, I would have to guess, Walker Kessler if there would have been anyone that might get an all-offensive team for us. So if we look at that, let's see if it was him. Was it Walker Kessler in there? Yes, first team. Nope, that wasn't him. So somebody got all defensive team, I think, and I don't know who got it. So whatever. I skipped past it too quickly. My bad. All right, so player stats to end the season. You had 20 from Colin Sexton, 19 from Lauri Markkanen, 16 from Clarkson, 15 from Keontae George, 14 from John Collins, 7 from Kessler, 7 from Bryce Sensabaugh, 6 from Hendricks, and 6 from Kyle Filipowski. So let's go ahead and some of these playoffs and get straight in the lottery, because obviously we are a horrendous team and we are going to be in the lottery. And we'll see how, depending on how this offseason goes, where our lottery pick ends up and all that. Timberwolves won the championship, by the way. It'll determine kind of how we go about this. Do we trade Markkanen and Clarkson? I did try to trade Clarkson at the deadline. Didn't really see anything that I liked. So this is obviously a moment of truth here for this rebuild. So let's see where our pick ends up going. So it's going to be, well, our pick is obviously projected to be number 1. But we also have Cleveland's pick here, which is kind of crazy because obviously they're undefeated in real life still. They do get Boston tonight, which is going to be very interesting. But let's see. I'm assuming our number 1 overall pick, obviously it says the Thunder get it, but that's not the case. I'm assuming that's going to fall to 5 because it happens like every single time. And then this Cleveland pick probably stay around 11. Let's see what happens. So we get 3. So it could have been worse, which I'm fine with because we probably won't end up with Cooper Flag. I had him in yesterday's video, so that's good. And then number 11. So we stay at 11. So 2 lottery picks in this draft. And then maybe another one. Yeah, Minnesota's pick at 30, who just won the championship. So 3 first-round picks in this draft. Not too shabby. We'll keep Will Hardy around, and let's just head straight to draft night. I mean, again, like we can look into trading Clarkson early here, but I was kind of seeking a first-round pick for him if possible. Maybe now, since he's an expiring 33-year-old, maybe just get a couple seconds for him. Milwaukee wants to offer me a first, which is kind of interesting, so I could just rock with that. Grant Williams in a second. Pell Larson from Miami was kind of interesting too. So yeah, we could do something like that, maybe. We can get a first-round pick from Dallas. Shake Milton in a second from Brooklyn. Rockets give me a second-round pick in this draft. Get Landale's contract in return. And then the Thunder want him. Grayson Allen. Okay, what do we want to do? So Moses Moody in a second is interesting, especially since, you know, but I don't think the Warriors would do that. So just trying to be realistic here. A lot of these trades I don't even think could happen in real life. Like, I don't think Miami has the cap space to just absorb Clarkson's contract like that. I think it's like 2K. I don't know what's going on with 2K here, but I don't know if any of these really make sense so far. I mean, this one is the most interesting one because obviously Houston is looking to win now, it seems like. So Clarkson could be a guy that could help them out with that. But let's see if we can do this. Oh, yeah, they could just take his contract on unless they have to throw me just anybody. So like Landale's contract, Reed Shepard obviously not going to be part of the trade. So let's do Landale's contract. And let's see if they'd give me a couple seconds. If we get Landale's contract, we have to trade the 26th overall. You know what? I'm just going to keep Clarkson at this point. Let's just jump in. So number 1 is going to be Cooper Flag to Charlotte. Okay. Number 2 is going to be Ace Bailey, which is kind of how I wanted to go. So who are we picking at 3 is the question. I think we take Dylan Harper. I have not gotten Dylan Harper in a video in quite some time. So this should be fun to grab him. Nolan Traore I've had a few times, and then the center would be cool too. But I will go ahead and take Dylan Harper here and be our brand new point guard, shooting guard for Utah. So that feels good. And now we have pick 11 as well. VJ Edgecombe goes. Nolan Traore goes to Portland. Maluk, however you say his last name. I need to figure out how to say that name. Liam goes to Memphis. We got San Antonio Trey Johnson. Igor to Houston. And then Hugo goes to Atlanta. So number 11 for us. We have Drake Powell, we have Michael, we have Jaleel, we have Carter Bryant, Noah, we have Dink. Okay, so a lot of different options here. Who do we want to go with is the question. We could take Ian Jackson, take Rocky. Who do we want? So Ivisic is interesting down low. So we do have Walker Kessler as our center going forward. Drake Powell feels like the guy to go for here. So I'm going to go ahead and take Drake Powell here with this selection. So we get Drake Powell and also obviously Dylan Harper, which feels good. And then Ivisic falling this far, I'm going to go ahead and draft him. So that will be our draft. So I feel pretty solid about that. So getting Dylan Harper, Drake Powell, could have maybe taken somebody else, but I still feel all right about Drake Powell. And then getting Ivisic that low felt pretty good as well at number 30. So that's a pretty good draft in my opinion. So we'll absolutely take that. Player option, John Collins accepts that option, which I was kind of hoping to decline it, but it does make sense for him to accept that. Kessler, Hendricks, George, Sensabaugh, of course, all accepted. And then here are your free agents, which I'm not concerned about any of them. All right, so for free agency, I don't know if we have any important free agents. So Potter and Preston, yeah. So we're not worried about them too much. We don't have any money to work with really either. Okay, so Scott George is the point guard at the moment with Collier as his backup. We have Colin Sexton, Dylan Harper, Clarkson, Drake Powell, and Steve Mikhailuk kind of listed our shooting guard position. So to me, obviously Sexton and Clarkson can kind of clear out of here, and I would give Harper and Drake Powell the keys to this position. Small forward, I mean, we could actually technically move Drake Powell there because he's 6'6" and maybe get away with that. Sensabaugh and Cody Williams, we'll see how much they develop. And Collins and Markkanen, and then Kessler and Drew Eubanks and Ivisic. Okay, so to me, I think we need to clear some guys out of here. So like Sexton can go and Jordan Clarkson can go. I'm going to try to make something happen there. And then we could keep Drake Powell at the shooting guard spot since we do have Cody Williams and Sensabaugh there right now. So that way we kind of have a shooting guard rotation there. So yeah, that's what we'll do. So those are only 2 things we'll do. I'll still wait on Markkanen. Depending on how we do next season, I might look into trading him at the deadline. We'll see. But let's just go ahead and see what we can get for Sexton and Clarkson services. I like doing this trade with Miami. We send Colin Sexton over to Miami, who just averaged 20 points per game. We get an unprotected first in Duncan Robinson's contract. Obviously, Duncan Robinson will never really play for us, but we get the first round pick for Colin Sexton. Kind of what I was seeking for a Clarkson trade, but we'll try Clarkson again. So obviously, didn't have a ton of luck with the Clarkson trade earlier. The Milwaukee Bucks are now offering me Connaughton and a first, which is a pick swap from the Blazers. Bogdan, we got Charlotte offering me a first round pick. Mitch Robinson, Dalton Connect, Isaac. Mavericks offer me a first-round pick. Dorian Finney-Smith is interesting. Detroit is interesting as well. But Grayson Allen, DiVincenzo, Moses Moody. Okay, so I think I'm going to do the trade in Milwaukee where we get Pat Connaughton. But, oh, they don't even have anything else to offer. Well, I guess if they're still going to go for it, sure, why not? So we're just going to get a pick swap from the Blazers for Clarkson. Preferably, I would be like 4 seconds or 2 to 3 seconds for Clarkson instead. But the Milwaukee Bucks don't really have that to offer. All right, so I'm cool with this rotation. Let's go see what player progression is looking like. We're going to have a very young team with Markkanen leading the way, who is starting to regress, which I've noticed in 2K. He doesn't really stay a great overall, which is interesting. But Hendricks is up to a 78. Sensabaugh is up, and Cody Williams is up. So Hendricks being buried on the depth chart as well. Just kind of ignored Hendricks for a second. Collins is still here. I think we move Collins to backup center. That way Hendricks gets some minutes. So Collins will be backup 5 for now. I have no plans of keeping Collins in the future, probably. But yeah, so we'll probably do that. Kessler, Collins, Hendricks, Hendricks, Markkanen. I don't know where I got George from. George is Keontae George. Collier is up. Dylan Harper, Jake Powell will be the shooting guard rotation, I said. And Sensabaugh, Cody Williams will be our small forward rotation. So a lot still to figure out, but I'm pretty happy and confident about where we're headed. It's just a matter of figuring out, do we trade Markkanen at the deadline, which is going to be the ultimate test. And when we do trade Markkanen, we got to make sure we're getting good value for him. So I got to cut Steve Mikhailuk and also probably Johnny Juzang, unfortunately. So those are going to be the 2 guys we release. And now we can get straight into the rotation for season number 2. So here's your rotation for year 2. Keontae George, Dylan Harper, Bryce Sensabaugh, Lauri Markkanen, Walker Kessler, John Collins, Taylor Hendricks, Cody Williams, and Drake Powell. And then we will probably run a 10-man rotation to get... I mean, we don't have to run a 10-man rotation. We can just kind of rock with this. We are leaving Collier and Filipowski out of the rotation. I will run 10-man to get Collier some minutes. That's like the guy I'd want to play. They want to play Kyle Filipowski, which it's okay, but I'm going to throw Collier in here instead. So I'm going to throw Collier in here because he's kind of the position we need to have like a 10-man rotation of 2 players at each position. But all right, we're going to go ahead and simulate year number 2. And I wanted to look at Dylan Harper's shot tendency out of the draft. So Dylan Harper's shot tendency is a 75, which is fine for a rookie. I'll move Markkanen's up. And as I mentioned several times now, if we are to trade Markkanen at the deadline, of course, I will show you guys. But I kind of just want to see how the season goes. I don't really know what I need to see to make that decision or not, but I guess I'll know when I know. So off the trade deadline, and unfortunately, I do think it's time to trade Lauri Markkanen away. So we're going to be trading Lauri Markkanen over to Detroit. I think Detroit could definitely benefit off having a guy like Lauri Markkanen. Obviously, their spacing can be an issue for them. They have a couple guys that really aren't great at shooting. Star Thompson being in that starting lineup, or when he eventually does return to playing basketball for Detroit. Don't think he's played this season yet. I could be wrong, though. Lauri Markkanen for 3 first-round picks. So basically, my thinking off of this is Detroit really isn't giving us a good young player. So like if Ivy was in this trade or something like that, things would be a little bit different. Maybe you could, convince me that only 2 firsts are necessary for Markkanen, but I'm going to stretch it to 3 first because Tobias Harris is not a guy that's going to be in our contract after, or be on our roster after this season. Isaiah Stewart is an okay player, but he's nothing crazy, right? He's just going to be a backup for the rest of the foreseeable future for us, but he's 24 years old. So I think 3 first-round picks could be fair. This is Detroit's way of going all in, so this is the trade we're going to do. So Lauri Markkanen over to Detroit, and they are going to decline that, but of course I'm going to make it happen because when we do superstar trades in 2K, we override them because, again, I've mentioned this several times, making superstar trades in 2K, which Lauri Markkanen is like kind of a borderline superstar, but he's definitely up there. It's impossible to get the correct value that you'd get in real life. So I hope you guys understand that for the people that need to know it. But maybe it wasn't in Detroit's best interest to make that trade right now, but I do think Markkanen would be an incredible fit in Detroit. We're 12-39 on the season right now, which is why, obviously, we made that move. So let's go ahead and continue to simulate the rest of the season, and let's see how we finish out. Years of being a really bad team, but we do get Rookie of the Year for Dylan Harper, which is fantastic to see. Here's your All-NBA first team, All-NBA second, All-NBA third, All-Defensive first team, and All-Defensive second team. So Kessler does make it this time. I swear it was probably him last year too, but I just didn't really see it. So All-Defense, no, did not make it last year. I wonder who made All-Defensive team for us. I just totally glossed over it. But maybe it was an All-Rookie team. I don't know. Dylan Harper, All-Rookie first team, which is great to see, obviously. And did we get our other rookie in here? No, we did not. So no, I already forgot what our other rookie's name was. Of course I did. It was, of course, Drake Powell. So yeah, no Drake Powell in there, but again, we're not even close. Let's take a look at the player stats. So player stats, that's the Thunder, or that's league leaders. We don't need to see that right now. All right, player stats. Dylan Harper, average 20, George with 18 and 12 from John Collins, and then 12 from Bryce Sensabaugh, 11 from Tobias Harris, 9 from Hendricks, 8 from Kessler, 8 from Jake Powell, and 8 from Isaiah Stewart. But I can't wait, because once we get in this offseason, we're going to have a clean slate. Collins is going to be gone. Tobias Harris contract is going to be gone. We can decline Duncan Robinson team options. So Knicks go on to win the championship, by the way. But yeah, there's so many things we can do. We have a top 8 protected pick in this draft. I already went ahead at the deadline and got this pick back from the Thunder. But if it does fall to the top 8, which it shouldn't, we don't get to keep this pick. We're projected number 1 overall once again. So we got lucky and stayed at, in the top 3 last time. I don't know if we get that lucky this time. No, we get 3 again. So we dropped from 1 to 3. Would have loved to have had 1 in this draft to get AJ, but unfortunately, we're not going to get that lucky. And then Miami's pick, we have number 12 from Miami from the Clarkson trade, or from the Sexton trade, I think. So I do, weirdly enough, want to, well, we could go get somebody different, but I kind of wanted to keep Will Hardy around because I think this team is eventually about to turn around. So I don't think it's Will Hardy's fault. I think we've just been kind of in a, a little bit of a weird lull right now. We got to try to fix things here. But obviously, going into this draft, we're probably not going to land either Boozer or AJ. So Darren Peterson becomes the next best player. We're going to draft Koa Pete or something. So a little unfortunate we're not going to either of them. Hopefully, maybe one of them sells and doesn't take one of them. So AJ is going to be the first one off the board. If Boozer doesn't go, he does go. So yeah, kind of figured there'll be the 2 guys going forward. So Darren Peterson, I think, is the right pick here. Koa would be nice as well, Caleb Wilson. But I think I'm going to take Darren Peterson out of Ohio State. And then we got number 12 overall pick, Blake Thomas. We got Gerald Harrelson, Mikael Brown. But I do think we need to get a front court player. So I'm going to take Bryson here out of Auburn. And that will be our draft. So Darren Peterson's still a great pick. Don't get me wrong. We're going to have to figure out this rotation because there's a lot of guys in a lot of same positions. But Walker Kessler, free agent, definitely want to bring him back. And then is there anybody else? Collins, we're not bringing back, like I said. So to me, the only guy that's worth even thinking about is Walker Kessler. Now, we could go sign like Luka Doncic in free agency right now, but I'm not going to do that. We could pretty much have a full rotation as it is right now. So I'm going to renounce pretty much everybody here. Kessler will be signed back. Now we can take a look at how we're going to do this rotation. So George and Collier is our point guard rotation at the moment. We have Harper, now Darren Peterson, and Drake Powell, who just drafted. At small forward, we have Bryce Sensabaugh and Cody Williams. We have Taylor Hendricks and Kyle, and then we have Walker Kessler and Stewart. So so I think Peterson or Jake Powell needs to move to small forward. And I think I'm going to move Peterson there because obviously we just drafted him pretty high. So he's going to move up to an 81 at the small forward spot, which I'm cool with. So George Collier, Dylan Harper, Jake Powell, and then Sensabaugh and Cody Williams will fight for the backup small forward spot. Hendricks and Kyle Filipowski, and then Bryson. Or we could even move Cody Williams back at power forward. Potentially, we'll see about that. But Stewart is our backup center right now, and Avicic is still a guy who could develop as well. So I'm going to go to player progression because obviously with how young our roster is, I have a good feeling that the development is about to be kind of crazy to look at. So yeah, here it is. We got 85 Dylan Harper, which is great, up 6 overall. We have an 85 Kessler, which we saw coming. Keontae George, 84. 81 Stewart. Peterson, we moved him obviously. Cody Williams up to an 80. Drake Powell's up to an 80. 79 Hendricks, 78 Sensabaugh, 77 Filipowski, 77 Avicic, and then 75 Collier. So yeah, a lot of guys, of course, developing and progressing, which is fantastic. Our roster is super freaking young right now. We've cleared all the vets out of here, and now it's just time to figure out when we'll eventually maybe make a play-in run or a playoff run. I mean, it could be as soon as this season because of how guys have developed. Like Dylan Harper could lead us there in theory, but we'll see. So we're at 3.5 proficiency right now, and here is going to be the rotation. So as George, Harper, Peterson, Hendricks, Kessler, Stewart, Cody Williams, Drake Powell, and then Bryce Sensabaugh. So yeah, I'm fine with that. We can run. Actually, I'd rather put a Avicic in here over Sensabaugh, weirdly enough. So I'm going to put a Avicic in here for the rest of the season over Sensabaugh. And, well, I guess who's our other backup center? Isaiah Stewart. I forgot we're playing him already. Backup power forward was Kyle Filipowski, who's not in. So I think we'll play a Avicic here. We'll move Stewart to power forward because, he's played there before. So we'll do that, and that's what we'll rock with this season. This will be our rotation for the rest of year 3. I'm excited to see how things go. Don't really know what to expect. I could see us being a play-in team. I could expect it being really bad again. We'll just kind of see how things, obviously happen and fall in place. Fortunately, at the end of this season, we weren't very good again. I really thought there was a chance for a play-in run this year. Unfortunately, I was wrong. But Dylan Harper does make an All-NBA second team, so that's a good sign to see that obviously he's really starting to make a turn here for this team. But we definitely still need a little bit more, and I think we can be kind of aggressive this offseason while we have guys on rookie contracts. But let's see who goes on to win the championship. It's going to be the Atlanta Hawks of all teams with Shaden Sharp leading the way. All right. Shaden Sharp's been pretty good in real life, so that's cool. But player stats, 24 from Harper, 20 from George, 17 from Peterson as a rookie, 15 from Powell off the bench, Stewart with 9, and 8 from Hendricks. So to me, the position of upgrade, if we make like an all-in move, which is interesting because we had Markin in there just a little bit ago. We have the Lakers pick, we have our own pick, and projected to be in the top 5, which is kind of wild. So we don't get either one. So number 5 and number 6 back to back, and we have Detroit's at 16, 22, and then 28. So many picks in this draft, and just not enough roster spots, to be honest with you. So to me, this is the time to make the move, and I think we could probably get anybody we want if I had to guess. So let's make a trade, man. Let's make a trade. So to me, obviously George Collier locked in, Harper Powell is locked in, Peterson, Cody Williams is locked in. Power forward spot is the position I'm looking at. Vicic and Kessler I kind of like. So the power forward spot is clearly the spot to me that we need to make the move for. So we'll see who it ends up being. I'm going to take a look and scan the league and who will be the power forward that could take us over the top and get us in the playoffs. And, actually, really, when we look at this, who will make us a contender as soon as next year? So I have an idea of the player that I want to try to bring into this team to make us contenders. So this is interesting because the only reason why I would do this is because Danny Ainge is the GM of the Jazz, or whatever they like to title him right now. But this one's going to be kind of hard to pull off. But Boston was 38 and 44, and I made sure that Jason Tatum wasn't listed as untouchable. So 29 years old, doesn't exactly fit the timeline of the team, but if we're going for it, Tatum would be kind of crazy to pull off. So we have so many assets that I think we could maybe do this. So 26 points per game. Obviously, Jason Tatum to me is a no-brainer. Now, the odds of us pulling this off are probably very slim, but I'm going to try anyway. So obviously, we're not throwing Dylan Harper in here. We're not throwing Kessler in here, but we can throw Isaiah Stewart's salary in here. We can throw Cody Williams in here. We're going to have to throw a number of young players in here. Bryson in here. Drake Powell is going to have to be thrown in here probably, or Peterson. One of these two is going to have to be thrown in here more than likely. But we have number 5 and number 6. So this is going to be a lot to give up. But to get Jason Tatum would be incredible. So here's the offer so far. I'll also offer 16. I don't know if this gets me to them. And they're not interested. So they're close to accepting this. Do I throw Drake Powell in here? I'm going to throw Drake Powell in here, who has, crazy. I think they might accept this. With Drake Powell in here, I think this might be an accepted trade. So this is a lot to give up, but getting Jason Tatum, we got Jason Tatum. So Jason Tatum, welcome to Utah. So Danny Ainge reunites with Jason Tatum. Again, doesn't really fit the timeline of our team, but Tatum is an incredible player, and I don't get him that often. So, yeah, that was pretty cool. So now we have Jason Tatum on our roster, and we have a full rotation with him. We did obviously get rid of our backup shooting guard, which is fine. Since Bob Peterson is what's left, the small forward spot, we had plenty of depth to make something happen. So the only thing that really is a problem now is the shooting guard spot, which we can let the assistant GM draft. Or actually, let's just get to our pick. So number 16, Taj Ariza, no brainer. We said we needed a shooting guard, and I'm gonna let my assistant GM take the other one. So we got Caden Allen and then Darius Adams. So welcome to Utah, all of you guys, and we can accept all of these qualifying offers. Sensabaugh and George are free agents. Yeah, we're going to have to re-sign them, obviously. So George will be re-signed, and Sensabaugh will be re-signed, and Hendricks. So we sign all these guys, and obviously with Tatum being brought in, we're going for a championship next season. As soon as next year, we want to be a contender and go win a championship. So, yeah, pretty interesting that we made that happen. Let's go to player progression, and let's see how much Dylan Harper goes up. Let's see how much Peterson goes up. And I do want to see how much, some of the other guys go up for Boston. So Harper's up to an 89. 86 George, 85 Peterson, Vicic 81. So let's go look at the Celtics with like Drake Powell. So Drake Powell is up to an 86. So yeah, he developed really nicely for them. Cody Williams up to an 84. Did we give him anything? Yeah, Bryce is up to a 79. So yeah, they got definitely a bang for their buck, and they drafted obviously some young players like not Sanon, but who did they just draft? They drafted maybe Jackson Richardson and then whatever else with number 6. But all right. This is our way of going for it, man. We've not been a playoff team, but this year, if we're not a playoff team, then obviously something is very, very wrong. But I would, bet a lot of money that we're a playoff team. It would be just a tragedy if we weren't. So let's go take a look at this rotation all together. Kind of can't wait to see what this is about to look like with Tatum joining this Utah team, which is just kind of wild and out of left field. But again, this is years down the line. So you never know. So 4-star balance, and Will Hardy, I think, used to coach the Celtics as well. So there's a lot of connections here with Jason Tatum coming to Utah. All right, so we have George, Harper, Peterson, Tatum, Kessler, Hendricks, Avicic, Sensabaugh, and Kyle Filipowski. I'm going to throw Taj Arija in over Filipowski, and that's what we'll run with for the rest of the season. So like I said, if we are not a playoff team, something went incredibly wrong, but there's no way that we're not a playoff team. I'd be absolutely pissed if we're not. But so far, we're off to a rocky start. Hopefully that turns around because no bueno. So at the end of this one, Luka Doncic winning MVP again. I'm a little disappointed by our record, but we are in the playoffs, so I guess I'll take that. All-NBA second team for Dylan Harper. Tatum does make an All-NBA third team, so that's great to see. But yeah, and then Walker Kessler, our offensive team again. But we are the 6th seed in the Western Conference going up against the Thunder. Yeah, a little disappointed with the results of the record. We had 26 from Tatum, 24 from Harper, 18 for Peterson, and 16 from George. 9 from Sensabaugh, and 8 from Avicic, and then 8 from Hendricks. So we finished up at 45 and 37. We get the Thunder in round 1, who obviously are usually pretty tough to beat at this point. What did they finish? Did I just see they finished 64 and 18? No, 58 and 24. So still damn good. But all right, so Oklahoma City has Ruzic, Noah, Chet, Ian Jackson, Vucevic, Lou Dort, AJ Mitchell, Jalen Martin, so Shea. They did lose J-Dub, though, so I guess that makes them a little bit weaker. But again, still going to be a tough task in front of us. So game 1 goes to OKC by 22 there, but we even it up. So we take one in Oklahoma City, and we're going to take first one at home in Utah, and we're up 3-1. So far, so good. And now we got to beat them in one more game, and we're moving on to the next round. So let's see if we can get that done. So we're going to give Tatum more minutes at home in Utah. Obviously, this would probably be the game to win here, so we can avoid going back to Oklahoma City, and we can beat them in 6 here. But are we going to hang on to the lead is the question. Be close. We are going to hang on and move on to the next round. So we get rid of Oklahoma City, but now we draw. Oh, it's not Dallas. It's Golden State. Okay. So we don't have to deal with Luka Doncic, but we do have to deal with Stephen Curry. But I do think dealing with Luka Doncic is a little bit more intimidating than Stephen Curry. So game 1 goes to us. Game 2 goes to us. Yeah. Just kidding. I won't say anything just yet. 3-1. And yeah, when I saw Stephen Curry instead of Luka, I thought, yeah, we should probably win this. But now we get Minnesota, who obviously is usually pretty tough in 2K to beat as well. They have Anthony Edwards. They got Rob Dillingham, Lee Thomas, Julius Randle, Naz Reid, Jamie McDaniels, Jalen Williams, and Caden Boozer. So this will be a tough matchup, but here goes nothing. Game 1 goes to us. Game 2 goes to us. So far, so good. 2-1. And they'll even the series. So they took, we took both games in Minnesota, and they take both games in Utah. So now we got a massive game 5 ahead of us. And if we win this one, which it doesn't look like we're going to, we're going to have to dig deep out of winning game 6. So game 6 in Utah to force the game 7 back to Minnesota. Can we get it done? It looked like we were going to win the series pretty easily at the beginning, and instead we're going to be eliminated, unfortunately, to the Timberwolves. And now we got the Hornets beating them in 7. All right. Well, guys, we're going to run it back for one more final season, and we'll end it off with whatever the results are next year. So let's just go ahead and get into next season. I don't even know if we have a good draft pick. Let's see. We have number 19 and 24. I'll let my CC and GM kind of draft whoever. Do I want to fire Will Hardy and get a different head coach? I mean, we just went to the conference finals, so it would be interesting to fire him after that. But I do feel like the regular season was a little wonky with him. So I am going to go ahead and fire Will Hardy and get a different coach in here. So let's see if we can get Ime Udoka to come coach this Jazz team. Obviously he used to coach Tatum at one point before he got fired from Boston. Spoelstra is here as well. Mike Brown we can go for as a backup plan. And then who else we got? Spoelstra obviously would be incredible, but I don't think we'll get him. Can I make one more offer to anybody? Steve Kerr is here as well. So we will get Mike Brown. We can get Ime Udoka too. So we're gonna take Ime Udoka for the Boston connection to continue. And we'll go into this last season and hopefully for different results. At the end of this season, we finish up as the 3rd seed in the West. And funny enough, our first round match will be the team that eliminated us last year. So 27 from Dylan Harper, 25 from Tatum, 21 from Peterson, so up to a 91 overall. George with 12 and 8, 10 from Avicic, 9 from Sensabaugh, and 8 from Hendricks. So Minnesota round 1. Like I said, the team that beat us last year. Hopefully we don't let them beat us again. Somebody current round, and we're down 3-1. So I said this was the final season no matter what, and I will live by that. So getting Tatum seemed to absolutely have meant nothing unless we get back in here from a 3-1 deficit. And drawing Minnesota round 1 was just unfortunate. That was kind of like the toughest team we could have drawn, and unfortunately, Western Conference Finals as far as we're going to get in this video today. So I hope you guys enjoy the video regardless. The Nets, the Warriors in the finals, the Nets going to win it all. Ace Bailey is your finals MVP. That's unfortunate, man. I felt really good about getting Jason Tatum and just led to absolutely nothing. That sucks. But hey, hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you on the next one. This is Crushables. Staying. Peace. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you click here to watch another video that I know you'll love.